It is. It's the very small minority. We are the redheaded stepchildren of the Shapiros. We are the Shapiros.
Well, I,
Feel
I,
free to keep that in so that everybody knows how to pronounce my fucking name.
yeah. So I am here not with Evan Shapiro, with Evan Shapiro,
Thank you.
which has blown my mind that that's how it's pronounced. You are an Emmy and Peabody winning producer of TV, film, and podcasts. You're a producer on Portlandia. You were the president of IFC and Sundance channels. You've
Blah
described
blah
yourself.
blah blah
Yeah,
blah blah
it's
blah blah
it's
blah.
it's ongoing.
It's
You
too long.
and it's amazing and
As a
impressive.
fellow podcaster, that intro is just too long.
Um, and you primarily, I think right now, write for Media War and Peace, which is a newsletter that covers a lot. And
The media universe, yeah.
yeah, and at the center of that right now is the creator economy, which is your topic. And so I'm going to start this timer and we're going to talk about the creator economy for 20 minutes.
Awesome.
So, Evan, why the creator economy? Why was this your topic?
There are a number of different reasons for that, but notably, I think this is the year where all of media, mainstream media, and what we've traditionally called the creator economy, which is really just another version of social media, meld into one ecosystem. So if you think about your day, you pick up a piece of glass and you look at everything through that glass, whether it's independent, mainstream, creator, or otherwise.
Yeah.
Then you turn on a bigger piece of glass on your wall later in the day, and it's the same thing to a certain extent, meaning you're not getting Instagram necessarily through that glass. But let's be honest with ourselves. When you're watching something on television, most of us have that second piece of glass in our hands and we're looking at social media
Yeah.
more often than not, even if it's in reflection for what we're watching on TV. So the experiences are already melded.
Yeah.
This is the year, I believe, and I have tons of data around this, most notably the budgets of advertisers shifting to creator and influencer marketing,
Yeah.
specifically Unilever, who now has 50% of their advertising budget in influencer marketing. 50%. And then there are big publishing brands like BBC Studios and ITV Studios, all acting more and more like creators. The New York Times, number one podcast in the United States, is The Daily.
Yeah.
It acts like a creator. It's actually outperforming the other master creator on podcasts, Joe Rogan, right? So this to my mind is the year that big brands will move into the creator realm, and the two ecosystems, creator and mainstream media, will meld into what I call the affinity economy. And so every producer out there, every brand out there, every publisher out there, Disney needs. I'm right now studying what feature films Disney does or does not have on YouTube so that
Yeah.
I can do a math problem in public for them to show them just how much fucking money they're leaving on the table because they're afraid of entering the creator economy. Who did they lose? Who did Disney lose the Oscars to? YouTube.
Right.
That is another data point. So the creator economy rules fandom first, not reach, engagement first, not CPMs first. That I believe is going to be the overriding theme of this year, and that's why I chose the creator economy.
And when you say behaving like a creator, what do you mean exactly?
The primary idea of behaving like a creator is a creator is a professional who puts content out on a regular basis as their job, as their income. Mr. Beast is a
Yeah.
creator. But when you think about it, Reese Witherspoon and Hello Sunshine, built on the back of an email
Yeah.
readers list, that's another great example of it.
Yeah.
One would argue that, well, Beast Studios, obviously, right? So the definition of creator has now blurred into what it should have been. William Shakespeare was a creator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson is a creator. So that title will now cross boundaries. And when a brand becomes a creator, they do things like the Duolingo owl and their TikTok feed. The Washington Post's star of their short news series on TikTok got so popular he's starting his own daily show. Um, that's some of the examples, but Bluey is probably the best example on the face of the earth. BBC Studios, perhaps the oldest, most traditional media brand of all time,
Yeah. So
acts like a creator with Bluey. They sell it to the streamers. It's a number by far and away. I think it's 2x the next closest competitor.
Hmm.
Number one kids show in the world. And it also has 11 million, 12 million followers on YouTube and does all these other experiences on across the creator sphere. But they don't see it as different efforts. They put the intellectual property at the center
Yeah.
and then they asymmetrically distribute to the fan. They meet the fan wherever they are. Fast, yes. YouTube, yes. Instagram, yes. TikTok, yes. Experiential, yes.
Yeah.
Gaming, yes. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So it's not so much embedded specifically in marketing as it is in where marketing meets distribution.
Yeah, the funny thing about the resistance of trad media to these trends is that this is just the Disneyfication of everything. I mean,
Yeah.
Disney was the first and perhaps the best in history, the theme parks, the plush toys,
Yeah.
etc. But Nickelodeon at one point, its merchandising was out earning its advertising.
Yeah.
And especially for IP that's kids based that can no longer take advertising legally can no longer take advertising.
Yeah.
This asymmetric creator IP at the hub, but it's Star Wars, it's Marvel. We're not reinventing the model. We're just adding new distribution. You have to see YouTube and TikTok, which is coming to the television set, and Instagram, which is coming to the television set, as broadcasting as much as you do CBS and Fox.
Yeah. And I mean, you've written a lot about like traditional media being resistant to seeing YouTube as TV, is how you put it, which is absurd, I think, to
Yes.
people at this point.
It is absurd, and yet people keep writing it in all caps in my comments all the time.
But I think, and one of the other things that I think you pointed out that's really important is fast or ad
Yeah,
advertise. What does
fast.
it stand
Yeah.
for?
Free ad supported television.
Free ad supported television. So basically, like Tubi,
Roku, Samsung TV
yeah,
Plus.
these services are taking over very
Well,
quick,
they're not taking over, but they have, as a
gaining
group,
speed. Yeah,
they've surpassed Netflix. So as a collective, at the end of this year, all of the fast channels combined now have more viewership,
yeah.
or that one month had more viewership than Netflix. And that trend's not going to continue, will continue. Netflix will stay pretty much flat from a viewership standpoint, right? And there's a number of different reasons why that'll happen. But Fast will surpass Netflix by next summer. The Fast alone in the United States will represent around 10% of the total television viewing time, according to Nielsen, if you believe what they say.
Yeah, and I mean, even I read a recent like study that basically said, the number one thing that users were looking for in a streaming service was second was exclusive content, first was a free
Free. Right.
ad
They're
supported.
tired of paying. They add up Netflix and HBO Max and Disney Plus,
They
and
all
now
have
they're paying as
an
much
option.
as cable, right?
Yeah.
So that is a big reason. But here's the other. So let's loop this back to the topic, though.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
was just on stage with Samsung TV
Yeah.
Plus in Vegas at CES. Want to know what they were talking about? Creators, only creators.
Yeah.
They sponsored a whole section. Variety had a whole stage dedicated to creators, just the creator economy. So there's a great example of one of the largest brands on the face of the earth, the biggest manufacturer of televisions on the planet, Samsung, and one of the most, if not the most important media and entertainment journalistic outlet on the planet Earth, together only talking about creators. So this mashup between
Yeah.
creatordom and mainstream media, trad media, it's already happened. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
Stick your head out the window. I'm predicting today.
So what I think where I was trying to like push it is I think with like TV and I know TV and film, like the differentiations are also kind of getting blurry.
Mhm,
But I'm
mhm.
curious where film lands. Because I think with TV, 100% this is already, the media outlets that aren't looking at, creators as TV are foolish. But
Sure, but
film,
I
feature
will give
films
you
are a little,
I will give you several examples right in a
please.
row. So Enoch Tag, who is the Mr. Beast of France, so the largest creator in France, made a documentary about him climbing Mount Everest. It broke the box office record for documentaries in France.
Hmm.
Um, I know this is going to sound odd. Taylor Swift is so indie, so creator that
Hmm.
she redid her entire songbook herself at her cost and released it and put an indie label out of business, basically. Then she self-produced the most successful music tour in the history of music. Then she released independently, financed herself, the most successful concert documentary film of all time. And now, a year later, she has one of the biggest hits on Disney Plus as a six-part documentary series about that same fucking tour. So, and then lastly, last year I produced a film called Skit with my team
I read
for
about that.
$65,000.
Yeah.
We shot it in 8 days. We had a worldwide premiere everywhere on Earth, on Tubi here in the US and UK and a couple of other territories, and then on several different other services. It's now available on YouTube. Because we made it for $65,000 and worked with Film Hub, which
Yeah.
is to me, the new A24,
Yeah.
who is focused on creators. There are several different ways to go about doing this. And if you're sitting around waiting for a green light from the commissioners of the past, you're going to be destined to wind up where they're going.
Yeah, I think the that's the clear model right now. I think the fear, I mean, one of my favorite American documentaries this year is called Listers. It's about bird watching. I don't
Uh-huh.
know if you heard of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely should check it out. I mean, it's only on YouTube, I believe. Free. Everyone should check it out. I don't know why it's not on more people's list, but it has millions of views, so people are watching it. I have no idea what the return is, uh,
Well,
but
but that's I mean, so
that's where
let's
I think
talk
it
about
gets fuzzy. I think with
yeah, but
Film
let's talk
Hub,
about documentary film for a second,
sure.
because I've produced quite a number of documentary films,
Yeah.
right? So the the idea that there used to be a really great model for documentary film is, we know, false, right? That's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
When was there? There was a five. Hold on one second for me. Um, if you go back and try to find a time where it was a great model for documentary filmmakers to go hat in hand raising $1 million for a year and a half to make a film that takes 2 years to make, to get
Yeah.
it into a film festival, to maybe get it sold, to get whatever return there, it's the top 5%, and I'm being generous, that are actually good business. Then Netflix and a bunch of other things threw money at it, which was never going to last, and that is over. And
Yeah.
now, if you're not making a true crime documentary, or you weren't hired by Michael Jordan to make a documentary about himself, then
Yeah.
you're not making documentary film right now. It's almost impossible to finance, and there is no
Good point.
business model around it.
That's a
But
good
there
point.
is a demand for it. So
Yes.
if you do what you were always supposed to do, which is, what's the fucking business model here? There's never been a better time to create your own Substack.
Yeah.
I know that's not film, but the non-D movement is really founding itself on Substack. That
Yeah.
is the new IndieWire. That is the new newspaper. That's the new Village Voice, is Substack. And you don't have to fund your movies by making movies. If you write about making movies, you can fund your movies by writing about making movies. There is a vibrant audience out there for this, niche oriented.
Yeah.
And you only need 5,000 people to pay you $5 a month to have a really good engine of revenue to you, whether that's on video or audio or writing. And again, we're back to creator economy. But if you're an independent artist and you don't understand that you have to manage your own community and build your own community, create your own economics, and that's the future of the art business,
Yeah.
then you're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I think in on Substack, especially with like long form writing, I mean, in gaming, it's on Steam, it's like
Right,
10
right,
years ahead
right.
of the
Yeah, you
time.
can go to any art form, and I mean,
Yeah.
pick anything really.
But I only like pinpoint like, feature filmmaking and perhaps fiction is a better example. But I think what we're starting to see is that filmmakers are going to use the tactics of documentary filmmaking. We're going to
Yeah.
see more like, small like skeleton crew, micro budget, not untrained actors, small crews. Like we're
Yeah, I
going to
don't know
see more
about that.
things
My
like that.
film was SAG. It was SAG, and it was a ultra low budget contract, but it was not. And then this micro dramas, to a certain extent, you should be shooting everything in vertical right now as well as horizontal. There
Yeah.
is a vibrant market, and Disney just announced that they're bringing vertical dramas, I guess. I don't know what they're bringing, because most of it's porn at this point, but they're going to bring vertical shows onto their platform.
Huh.
So there's a ton of money circulating out there. You have to understand how to get it, and it's gonna, you know what? It's going to be different for every project, because every artist, that's your specialness, is that you're different from everyone else. The key is finding an audience, even if it's 100 people, understanding who they are and why they love you, and then duplicating that, and then agreeing to an economic relationship with that fandom that serves both of you well. And if you do that and you surpass expectations by hyper serving a niche, that niche will grow to a point where you don't need to do anything else other than go to that community. But if someone comes knocking on your door, which they will when you have a big enough community,
Yeah.
you have so much more leverage than, hey, I have a good script. Everybody's got a good script. Get me my bread.
Yeah.
So, but if you say I have an audience and I know I can bring them to the table, then you're Taylor Swift in
Right.
whatever microcosm version of that you have.
Yeah, and so you would see, I mean, clearly that building that audience would happen on multiple platforms, but in terms of
Always.
engaging that audience and delivering what you've created to them to a mutually beneficial experience, at least for filmmaking, what you feel like Film Hub and like the Tubi YouTube, like
It's
do you
going to
think
be
there's
different. It's
something
good.
better
You
coming?
should go to Film Hub's website, look at their creator back end. They have a whole thing where you can
Yeah, yeah.
upload stuff. It's a
I'm
great
very familiar.
interface.
Yeah.
They're going to be one of many. I will believe they
Yeah.
are the ones we worked with on Skit. And I think it's important that you understand that model absolutely does friggin' work. It really does. It takes time, and you have to keep your budgets low. You can't let your the average documentary, that's the other thing, cost $1 million. But Enoch's Tag, this guy in France, he spent $1 million, I believe. I don't know 100% know on that film. And they broke the record. You know what I mean? So, but he didn't start there. He started by having 100 fans and then
Yeah.
200 fans and then 400. And he's been doing it for a decade.
So to like, really kind of get to this core of the creator economy, this is a good thing.
Yes. The idea, and you add AI to this, the idea that an independent filmmaker can make a film for 1% of what the average Hollywood film gets made for, and go directly to their audience, and if they're smart about it, at least break even, but continue to work and build and find audience and spend so much less time pitching
Yeah.
and getting nowhere and just get into making. There is, the team that made this film Skit with me, they turned around and they shot a pilot. Like, they wrote it and they shot it in the following year without any help from me.
Yeah.
So once that machine gets going, if you can figure out what the economics of it are, you can support yourself. If you're waiting around to be greenlit, it's the same thing, 15,000 submissions to Sundance,
Yeah.
40 wind up getting distribution, 40 films out of 15,000.
Yeah.
Those have always been the odds. I don't know why people are surprised by that.
And two-thirds of those are kind of already picked anyway.
Right,
So I
exactly. They
yeah.
came in with on the arm of somebody. Right, is exactly right.
So if it's a good time for creators, it's a good time for independent artists. Probably not a good time for Hollywood. But what about like entrepreneurs working in like creating new platforms? Because I feel like, YouTube can't be the like sort of monopolizing this for video creators
That's
at least.
that's the most naive thing I've heard all day.
Please.
I mean, Comcast and Charter have had, and DirecTV and a bunch of others have had a very small cadre of companies have controlled cable distribution for a number of years, and now it's a new set of distribution folks. Yes, YouTube will be dominant.
Yeah.
TikTok and Instagram are coming to the television set. Amazon is dominant, not in all territories, but it is dominant. Disney is getting to dominance, right?
Yeah.
Netflix has dominance, but they're trying to reinforce that by trying to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. It's always 6 or 7 companies.
Well,
I mean, it's
I guess
always 6 or 7 companies. It's just those players rotate over time depending on who has the money.
to defend the naivety is there's a dozen there's Kinema, there's Gather, there's Eventbrite, there's a dozen new streaming services that are trying to champion independent films by reworking the pay
I think
structure.
if you don't have, I mean, look, BritBox is very successful,
Yeah.
right? Acorn is pretty
Yeah.
successful, but Funimation, Crunchyroll is
Uh,
very, very, very successful.
Arguably Shutter.
What do each one of those have in common? A steady, stream of high demand premium content
Yeah.
that serves a super niche,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
super niche. Yeah, they'll work, but they're going to look like that. Can you roll those up into something else? Sure, but the margins are going to be what the margins are going to be, right? And
Yeah.
they're all going to have to add advertising and stuff like that. There is definitely like watch what happens when Instagram and TikTok comes to the television set. That's going to change the dynamic, really, I think dramatically, depending on how their platforms are. It to build a new platform, unless if you're going to build a platform, build it for niche.
Yeah.
If you're going to build a platform for scale, dude, I think you're going to have $1 billion. That said, based on everything we just discussed, I do believe there's a white space for documentary film,
Yeah.
a streaming service just for documentary film in the marketplace that may have the best set of economics around it than anything else.
No, there are at least one or two that I can think of that are being built right now. Or
There's
yeah,
a white space there, and it's a very wealthy, very, very wealthy audience. So
and I guess that's what I was pointing to is that this, democratization of creators and artists could also, maybe it's optimistic, maybe it's naive, but we could also see that in terms of consumption and distribution as well, to a
yeah,
lesser extent. Um,
yeah. I did a study with the Kennedy School at Harvard last year around documentary and independent film, and it said there's much more demand for those films than people understand. It's just and they're getting a lot of it served to them, but they could watch more if it was available.
yeah. Well, that has been our 20 minutes. This has been incredibly insightful.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Um, yeah, any uh, uh, your statistics, I think, when I encourage people to read your writing, because
Thank you.
it at first seems maybe cynical, but there's a very, very underlying optimism, I think, for independent artists beneath everything you're giving us.
Yeah, if you educate yourself and you set your expectations around the audience you have, yes, there should be a ton of optimism.
Yeah,
It just redefine what create when you hear creator economy, a director is a creator, a screenwriter is a creator, an actor is a creator, a person who works in lights and sound editor, they are all creators. So that means you too. And that's where the growth will be for the rest of this decade.
beautifully put. Well, thank you so much, Evan.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Good to
Happy
see
New
you.
Year.
You too.